How to stop your own expectations from ruining your happiness. Oof, Mended Light. You know, intentions can be an absolute killer of happiness.
It's true.
And we see that with the character of Abuela in Encanto. She has expectations from every member of the family of how they are to act, how they are to use their gifts, how they are to represent, and the stress is tearing the home apart. Literally tearing the home apart, and then Mirabel comes and offers the balm of just love and acceptance, and it's going well until it doesn't.
Something you can't do. What else can I do? You're a bad influence.
What is going on?
Abuela, it's okay. We're gonna save the miracle. The magic.
What are you talking about? Look at our home. Look at your sister.
Please, Isabella wasn't happy. And
Of course she isn't happy. You ruined her proposal.
No, she needed me to ruin her proposal, and then we did all this, and the candle burned brighter, and the cracks.
Mirabel.
That's why I'm in the vision. I'm saving the miracle.
You have to stop, Mirabel. The crack started with you. Bruno left because of you. Luisa's losing her powers. Isabella's out of control because of you. I don't know why you weren't given a gift, but it is not an excuse for you to hurt this family.
So blame shifting.
Scapegoat.
And she doesn't realize she's doing it though. She really believes what she's saying.
Never be good enough for you. Will I? No matter how hard I try. No matter how hard any of us tries, Luisa will never be strong enough. Isabella won't be perfect enough. Bruno left our family because you only saw the worst in him.
Bruno didn't care about this family.
He loves this family. I love this family. We all love this family. You're the one that doesn't care. You're the one breaking our home.
Don't you
The
ever...
miracle is dying because of you.
So there's a lot going on here because Abuela is projecting onto others what she ties her worth to. Our family is special, our family is magical, our family is seen as a light, as an example, and the cost of it is that nobody gets to be real.
As long as you keep being good enough in these very specific ways.
In these very specific ways. Now, in her mind, she's doing it to protect them, to keep them safe. And the one thing that Mirabel said that's not correct is you don't care about this family, because Abuela cares very deeply. And that's a hard thing to see in the people who hurt us or burden us with expectations or make us feel that we're not good enough is sometimes, yeah, they don't care or they're disconnected or, there's...
Very rarely is there malintent. Very rarely is there malicious behavior. It's usually their own wounds and insecurities that they've covered up with their own worth ties. And they don't know this or they wouldn't be doing that. But it's like, here's how I've created safety. Here's how I've created security. Here's how I've earned my worth. And so they've built these constructs around their worthiness and their innate value, and then they're shoring them up. And that happens for all of us, where we have the life experiences for maybe the first quarter century of our life, and we build our constructs, and then something interesting happens.
Constructs of, this is how the world works, this is how relationships work, this is my place in the world.
Something interesting happens, typically in your 30s or 40s. You wake up to the discrepancies of how you're trying to earn your worth and your belonging. And at some point in those 30s and 40s, you start deconstructing those constructs that once kept you safe, but are now keeping you stuck. And if you don't deconstruct that at some point in midlife, you tend to shore them up. You tend to reinforce them. And so you get people in their 50s and 60s and 70s who pull and hold so strongly to those constructs and then project them onto their children and their grandchildren. And what they think they're doing is loving. They think what they're doing is saying, oh, let me show you how to protect yourself. Let me show you how to show up in the world. And Mirabel is saying, no, like I can see how this is all harmful.
So how do you stop your own expectations from ruining your happiness? By letting go of them, by moving from expectation to intention. You can always work towards outcomes and work for outcomes. The issue is when who you are and whether or not you're good enough is tied to the outcome or whether you can measure up, as opposed to, am I learning, am I growing, am I acting with integrity, am I acting with authenticity? So become aware of what you are tying your worth to. If you so choose, cut those worth ties and receive the knowledge of your own innate worth. And then ask yourself, who or what are you giving your power of choice to? I think in Encanto, the family gives the power of choice to Abuela because they love her, they revere her, but they're also all scared of her. And sometimes it takes an act of courage to take your power back, to choose for yourself who you want to be and what you want to be.
And as we make this shift, or even become aware of the possibility, right, of moving from expectation to intention, let's clarify like what those two things are. Expectation is looking for happiness or fulfillment in something outside of yourself, such as circumstances, things, or other people. And that could look like saying, I'm supposed to fill in the blank. So an indicator of that is an internal voice of saying, well, I'm supposed to fill in the blank. I should fill in the blank. It's linked to our worth ties, and it keeps you in disappointment, searching for evidence to define your worth or to be happy, and it's often created unconsciously. While intention is clear statements based on the qualities of what you wish to experience, and it keeps you out of expectation and disappointment, both of which are judgment.
And removing judgment requires you to become aware of the stories that you're telling yourself. Like, what is the narrative about yourself in your life, the people around you? Are you the victim or are you the hero? Brené Brown has a powerful sentence she uses when seeking to create connection and vulnerability when we're in a dysregulated state. It also shines a light on our insecurities and greatest fears. This is what she says. The story I'm telling myself is fill in the blank. In your story, are you making yourself the victim or the hero? Either one is an indicator that you are giving away your power to someone or something else and living in judgment of yourself and others, which is keeping you stuck. Now back to Mirabel and her journey. In this moment when she's fighting with Abuela, Mirabel sees herself as the hero. I'm fixing the miracle, the magic of the family is restored, the family's relationships are being healed, the house is healing itself, I am doing this, and Abuela, you don't care about us, and basically you're the villain of the piece. And unfortunately, a lot of people online have lashed out at this fictional character for being the villain because they're like, this reminds me of someone that I know.
My parent or my grandparent or whatever. And what's interesting about Mirabel's character, she is seeing herself as the hero, but she's also been a victim in parts of the story. Mm-hmm. Like when we make ourselves the victim, we're also making ourselves the hero. Mm-hmm. And when we make ourselves the hero, we're also making ourselves the victim. And both are an indicator that we have given away our power of choice to someone else or something else, instead of saying, hey, I recognize the dysfunctional behavior or the coping mechanisms that have honestly been passed down in my family, that have come from nature or nurture. And now I'm going to be a voice of light, and I'm going to show up with compassion, but also integrity, and opt out of the negative cycle.
You know what's interesting about heroes and victims? They both require villains. Mm-hmm. If you're a hero, then you have to have the opposing force and they're the villain. If you're a victim, who's the villain who victimized you? Yeah. And what's healing for Mirabel and Abuela, because they both have expectations of each other when they move to intention. What brings them together, Mirabel considers Abuela's story, where she came from, the trauma that made her the way she is, and sees, okay, this behavior is hurting the family, but the intention is loving and trying to help. Yeah. And Abuela toward Mirabel, that everything that you have done that I've disapproved of, that's gone against my paradigm, has been an act of love for the family and for yourself. And when they see the intentions, they see the real person, and it brings healing. There's Abuela. She's been widowed.
Desorientadas.
doing the best to raise her family on her own. And her best did real harm, but it was also her best, and those both can exist.
A miracle. A second chance. And I was so afraid to lose it that I lost sight of who our miracle was for. And I am so sorry. You never hurt our family, Mirabel. We are broken. Because of me.
The butterfly is symbolic of the grandpa.
Abuela, I can finally see. You lost your home. Lost everything. You suffered so much all alone. So it would never happen again. We were saved because of you. We were given a miracle because of you. We are a family because of you. And nothing could ever be broken that we can't fix together.
I asked my Pedro for help. Mirabel. He sent me you.
Come on!
Hay mariposas, no se aguanten más, hay que crecer aparte y volver, hacia adelante seguirás, ya son milagros.
That clip does such a beautiful job of showing an example of seeing the humanness in each other and seeing how they both did the best that they knew how with their gifts and what they had, right? And then bridging that gap and seeing the value in the other person.
When we let go of expectations and we focus on intentions. First of all, we can set intentions for ourselves, which is I'm going to grow in compassion, I'm going to grow in wisdom, I'm going to be accountable for my mistakes. But focusing on intentions also allows us to see, instead of this is your fault, you came up short, to see you did the best you knew how. And I love you for it. And that's how we heal. That's how we build bridges.
And it takes two people willing to do that, to meet in the middle of that bridge. And it can be done. And if you're in a relationship with someone who doesn't have a desire to do that as much as you want to, you have to wait until they're willing to meet you there. And they may never meet you there, and that's okay too. That is their choice.
You and I had a river moment.
We did?
Well, we've had several river moments, but I remember one time specifically, you know, when you told me that you just had this peace and clarity and recognized that, you know, you had hurt towards me, I had hurt towards you, but you said that you recognized that I did the best that I knew how to do.
Yeah.
And that so did you. And I remember you saying that to me and how healing that was to hear that from you. It didn't erase the outcome or the consequences or what happened. But at the same time, it was an extension of grace and understanding and unconditional love that meant and continues to mean the world to me. And it's a big reason why when people are like, how do you guys still, you're divorced, aren't you supposed to hate each other and not get along? And it's like, but that was one of our river moments of seeing intention instead of focusing on expectation.
Well, and I came to that that place and sharing that with you is because I was struggling with some of the dynamics, And I realized that I was making myself both the victim and the hero. And there was a story that I was telling myself that was not supportive. And I was like, man, I've got to break out of this story. Like, what do I need to see that I'm not seeing? What do I need to implement that, I'm not implementing? And that's what came to me, was like, you both did the best that you knew how at the time.
Yeah.
And that's where I was like, okay, I can shift the story. I can implement that story.
Yeah.
I can view our relationship through that lens instead of previous lenses.
Yeah. Keeping it real here on Mended Life, folks. Now, if you desire to dive deeper into how to apply the principles that we've been talking about in this video, we've got a couple of online video courses on our membership site. One is called Intentional Habits for Happiness, and the other is called Keys to Self-Compassion. Yep, it is. That's what it's called. And folks, you can try that membership site, including a whole library of online video courses, podcasts, and monthly live Q&As with our members. You can try it for just $1. The link is here on screen and in the description to check that out. And let us know what has been the most meaningful, helpful part of this video today, and how are expectations getting in the way of your happiness, and what do you plan to do about it? Let us know. Until next time, keep shining.
We need your light.